Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. This one is going to be very similar to a video I did for the hunt event, and I was looking forward to maybe not making this video for the classic event. However, it's kind of hard not to. But anyways, I'm just going to be going over why, in my opinion, this event failed, and some of the causes that led to that failure, and how they could have been avoided. And hopefully you guys watching the video agree with me on some of these aspects, and if there's more things that I don't talk about in this video, feel free to leave them in the comments. I enjoy reading all of your feedback about this event so far. But yeah, I think we should just get right into it. So the biggest issue with this event started before the event even began, and that is the terrible game selections. And by that, I mean that some of the games selected for this event were just chosen based on popularity, and they really offer nothing to the event at all. And also, something quite unfortunate about this event was that I think that myself and a lot of other people were looking forward to seeing some classic games actually in this event. You know, games that have been around for a while, games that have a classic style already. It feels like this is the perfect event to have developers from those games come in and make some cool quests. However, we got 0 classic games. I think the oldest game we have is like Bee Swarm Simulator or Adopt Me. I'm not really sure, but either way, most of these games came out like this year, last year, or at least after 2020. And it's quite unfortunate because I do think that some of these games could have easily been replaced with more classic games like Natural Disaster Survival, Lumber Tycoon 2, etc., and they would have had much better quests. And speaking of the quests themselves, some of these games had terrible hunt quests and everyone was complaining about them, and for some reason Roblox just let those games right back in. And Blade Ball is probably the best example of this. The Blade Ball quest in the hunt was terrible. It was just do these few tasks and then you get your badge and then you leave. However, they invited it to the classic event again for some reason, and in this event, it's literally the exact same thing as the hunt, except you have to do it like 15 times in order to get all of the tokens, and it just takes forever. I spent like 3 hours in Blade Ball, and it was just doing the same thing over and over and over. And with that topic on my mind, I think it's time to move on to the second reason why I think that this event failed. The quests in these games, man, were just completely garbage. I ranked every game based on how much I enjoyed it in the exact same way that I rated each hunt game, and of all of these 15 games, only 4 of them were above 5 out of 10. And in addition to that, most of the games on my list were actually 0s, 1s, or 2s, which is just terrible. And I understand that my rankings are just my opinion, however, I do have some other evidence to prove why some of these quests were just terrible. And the biggest factor is pay-to-win events. That's right, some of these games are literally pay-to-win. And I'm not talking about the game itself, I'm talking about the actual quests. Like, for example, in Driving Empire, what you need to do is find 10 ticks located around the map. If you have an issue finding them, you need to buy a radar for 10 Robux. And then in addition to that, in order to get all the tokens, you need to do a handful of various tasks that are really repetitive and boring, and the only way to speed it up is to buy the 2x speed game pass for 45 Robux. Like, honestly, I have no idea why this was even allowed. How is this possible that devs are able to just straight up ask you for money to progress faster in this event? It just makes no sense. And then in addition to that, most of these quests were just insanely repetitive. Like, for example, in Gunfight Arena, in order to get the tokens, you literally just use a classic item like 40 times. You have to kill like 40 people using the item, and it takes so long to use some of these items because the items themselves are pretty bad and you just get killed so easily, and if you're not good at any like first-person shooter games, you really have no chance. And I feel like this wasn't as big of an issue in the hunt events because even if one game was kind of annoying and repetitive, you still only had to do one little quest and then you would switch to the next game. So even if the quest itself was pretty boring, at least it wouldn't be repetitive in that sense. However, in the classic, you have games with 5 tokens each, which means that in order to get all 5 tokens, you usually just have to do the same thing for the first quest, the second, third, fourth, and so on. And just this general skill barriers in this event seemed crazy compared to the hunt, because in this event, some of the games have very, very easy quests, and some of them just have almost impossible quests like Bed Wars. And that brings me to my next point, which is that some of these games literally are just premium payout farming you. And by that, I mean that whenever you're in an experience and you have premium, such as myself, whoever owns that experience gets some Robux based on the amount of time that they spend in your game. And so when you have games like Adopt Me, which just literally involve AFKing until your pet gets like a notification, they're earning so much money just by you sitting in the game doing literally nothing. And it's so annoying when you have some really good games like a Dusty Trip and Arsenal who are actually putting a lot of effort into their quests and trying to make it fun, and then you have games like Blade Ball and Bed Wars which are just completely unfun, almost impossible, and just basically exploit you for your premium payout. Overall, I think it's just crazy that Roblox has such minimal quality control for these games, and it's something that really, really needs to change because I'm quite sick of it. Anyways, there is one more subcategory that I would like to talk about here as to why I think that this event failed, and that is just planning. When the Hunt event happened, we had 15 days to complete it, which was a lot of time considering the entire quest. Even if you want to 100% it, only took around 3 days of decent amounts of playing. However, this quest, for the same amount of time that takes to 100% it, you only have 5 days. These aren't just any normal 5 days. It's Memorial Day weekend for all those in the US. And on Memorial Day weekends, you're not going to be inside playing Roblox. You're going to be out celebrating, just doing stuff outside. It's been a beautiful weekend, you know. We're entering summer in the Northern Hemisphere. So why would you want to be inside playing Roblox? Hey, just an editing note here, but it's also right in the middle of finals week here for me and a lot of other people too, so I'm not sure why you would have an event targeted at older people who have actually played during classic Roblox, and then make it so they can't even really play it. So yeah, the planning in this event was terrible. And then the last thing that I do want to touch on real quick is this boss fight here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this ticks meter filled up earlier today as of time recording this. And it opened up this hole here, which leads to a little boss fight. And you know, that's cool. It had people hyped up and had them collecting more ticks. However, the boss fight was literally just shoot rocket launcher, run in circle, hooray. It was so boring and it just felt really rushed. And again, I felt like there was minimal planning involved in that. But with all my critique out of the way, I do think that some elements of the classic were actually kind of enjoyable. Most notably the lobby here. Whoever made this lobby at Twin Atlas Developers, they did a great job. This lobby is just really fun. All of the quests in here were really fun to do. None of them felt long or boring, and it really brought back a lot of memories. However, it takes more than just a good lobby to make an event good, and I really think that the issue with these dev hunts is just the games themselves, and notably how the games are chosen and which games are chosen for the event. But anyways, that's all I have to say about this event. Let me know down below what you guys thought of it, if you liked it, what issues you saw in the event, if you saw any of the same issues I did, or if you saw any new ones. Leave that all below. But this is going to be it for me. Goodbye.